Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, April 8th, 2024. Monster show today. Recap of the women's Final Four and title game. Men's Final Four preview tonight's title game. NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, soccer, golf, NASCAR, F1, MLB Power Rankings, American Idol, news and notes, and the return of Best Bet after a 1-week absence. All right. Women's tournament is where we'll start. Final Four was on Friday. We have results for you. So, on Friday, South Carolina, your 1 seed in the Region 1 in Albany, defeats 3 seed NC State from the Portland Region 4, 78-59. And then Region 2 Albany, 1 seed Iowa over Region 3 Portland, 3 seed UConn, 71-69. There was a controversial turnover and foul call at the end of this game, which cost UConn a chance to potentially tie or take the lead. But Iowa got it done. And on Sunday, South Carolina, your 1 seed from Albany won over the other 1 seed from Albany, Iowa, 87-75 to win the 2024 NCAA Women's National Championship. So congrats to South Carolina, undefeated season. Dawn Staley's one hell of a coach. And my big thought on this is that this could be the UConn the next couple years, because she is impact freshman that came off the bench and played really well in this game. And yeah, they're losing some people, but those freshmen are only going to get better. So South Carolina could be the UConn of a couple of years ago going forward. So congrats to South Carolina. Iowa, great season. Caitlin Clark, one hell of a career. Next stop for hers, WNBA. The greatest scorer in college basketball history now. So now she'll be drafted first overall in the WNBA draft, and we'll be seeing her play this summer in the W. So that should be very exciting. Okay, now move on to the men's. Saturday Final Four results. And title game tonight. All right, so your 1 seed from the Midwest region, Purdue, over 11 seed from the South region, NC State, 63-50 to advance to the title game for the first time in Matt Painter's career. And your 1 seed from the East region over your 4 seed from the West region. So it's UConn over Alabama, 86-72 to advance as well. So it sets up the title game I predicted before the tournament, Purdue-UConn. So that's pretty neat. From Glendale, my projection is UConn only by a half, total 148 and 2/5. And FanDuel has this at UConn by 6.5, total of 145.5. So I have a less than 3-point edge on the over, but I have a 6-point edge on Purdue. So I'm going to take Purdue plus 6.5. And I'm also going to take plus 235 for Purdue to win outright. I think Zach Edey will be the best player on the court. But the funny thing is, Edey, most outstanding players, plus 240. So, that has more value than the money line. Because Edey's not winning most outstanding player if Purdue loses. And if you want to bet on UConn to win, just bet on Donovan Clingan or take a chance with Tristan Newton or Stephon Castle for most outstanding player. It looks like Clingan is the favorite. But any of those UConn guys can win it. Any of those three I just listed. So all it takes is one big game. And I am willing to take plus 235 on the money line for Purdue. I know plus 240 for Edie is also a really good bet. But yeah, the play here is Purdue spread. And then also a sprinkle on the money line and a sprinkle on Edie for most outstanding player. So it should be a really fun game tonight. Or maybe same game parlay, the over Purdue spread, maybe over Edie points, and a couple other little things that you could think about. All right, now we'll move on to the NBA. We'll go over the results from this weekend. We do not have any games tonight because of the title game, which is good. So, Friday. Hornets over the Magic, 124-115. Pacers over the Thunder, 126-112. Blazers over the Wizards, 108-102. Celtics over the Kings, 101-100. Bulls over the Knicks, 108-100. Heat over the Rockets, 119-104. Grizzlies over the Pistons, 108-90. Raptors over the Bucks, 117-111. Spurs over the Pelicans, 111-109. Mavs over the Warriors, 108-106. Suns over the T-Wolves, 97-87. And the Clippers over the Jazz, 131-102. Saturday, Lakers over the Cavs, 116-97. Nets over the Pistons, 113-103. Sixers over the Grizzlies, 116-96. And the Nuggets over the Hawks, 142-110. And then yesterday, the Mavs over the Rockets, 147-136 in overtime. That was a classic game. Reggie Bullock hits a three at the buzzer to force overtime after Jabari Smith misses 2 free throws. And then the Mavs and Luka pull and win. Clippers come back from 26 down to beat the Cavs 120-118. Game winner by Paul George in that one. Pacers over the Heat, 117-115. Celtics over the Blazers, 124-107. Thunder over the Hornets, 121-118. Magic over the Bulls, 113-98. Knicks over the Bucks, 122-109. Raptors over the Wizards, 130-122. Pelicans over the Suns, 113-105. Sixers over the Spurs, 133-126 in double overtime. Kings over the Nets, 107-77. Warriors over the Jazz, 118-110. And the T-Wolves over the Lakers, 127-117. No LeBron in that one because he was sick. So, no games tonight. And the league returns with 14 games tomorrow night. So we'll preview and pick those games on tomorrow's podcast. All right, the NHL. We will recap the results from the weekend. And we'll look ahead to tonight's games. I think tonight's small. Yes, only 2 games tonight. And they're both huge. So results from Friday. Sabres over the Flyers 4-2. Rangers over the Red Wings 4-3. Canes over the Caps 4-2. Oilers over the Avs 6-2. Coyotes over the Golden Knights 7-4. Kraken over the Ducks 3-1. Saturday, Penguins over Lightning 5-4. Bruins over the Panthers 3-2 in OT. Blackhawks over the Stars 3-2. Jets over the Wild 4-2. Sharks over the Blues 3-2 in OT. Leafs over the Habs 4-2. Devils over the Senators 4-3. Jackets over the Flyers 6-2. Islanders over the Predators 2-0. Oilers over the Flames 4-2. Kings over the Canucks 6-3. And then yesterday, the Red Wings over the Sabres 3-1. Wild over the Blackhawks 4-0. Canes over the Jackets 3-0. Sens over the Capitals 3-2 in overtime. Coyotes over the Sharks 5-2. Rangers over the Habs 5-2. Preds over the Devils 3-2 in a shootout. Blues over the Ducks 6-5 in a shootout, and the Stars over the Avalanche 7-4. Only 2 games tonight, 7 o'clock. You have the Penguins at the Maple Leafs. This is a monster game for Pittsburgh. As where things stand right now, they are 1 back of Detroit for the second wild card. So they're tied with Philly and Washington. for the spot beneath the Red Wings. So this is a monster game for Pittsburgh. Biggest game of the year. The Leafs are minus 166. The Penguins are plus 138. Over under 6.5. Over is minus 106. Under is minus 114. Pens plus 1.5 is minus 176. Leafs minus 1.5 is plus 146. All right. I'm taking the Penguins. They're hot. Just can't bet against them right now. I think they're going to potentially steal their last playoff spot. And if you're anybody in the East, you don't want to see them. You just don't want to see them. They're just playing so good right now. And at 10 o'clock, this could be a first-round matchup. Golden Knights Canucks. I mean, that's a first-round matchup if Vegas passes Nashville in the wild card. So this could be round one. Vancouver's minus 118. Vegas is minus 102. Over under 5.5. Over's minus 132. Under's even money. Vegas plus 1.5 is minus 55. Vancouver minus 1.5 is plus 205. So it's unlikely Vancouver wins the Preds Trophy. I think it's a 3-team race right now between Boston, the Rangers, and Dallas. Dallas kept themselves in it with the win over Colorado last night. The Rangers are probably going to win it because they have the most regulation overtime wins. And they have the most wins. So it looks like New York's going to win it, the Rangers. But I wouldn't rule out Boston or Dallas if the Rangers drop a couple down the stretch. But round one preview, I like Vancouver minus 118 because I think Vegas is going to play a little possum here in case this is their round one opponent. So I'm going to take Vancouver at minus 118. All right, Major League Baseball. We will go over the results from the weekend and look ahead to today's games. Friday, Blue Jays over the Yankees 3-0. Tigers over the A's 5-4. Cubs over the Dodgers 9-7. Rockies over the Rays 10-7. O's over the Pirates 5-2. Giants over the Padres 3-2. Mets over the Reds 3-2. Phillies over the Nationals 4-0. Braves over the Diamondbacks 6-5-10. Royals over the White Sox 2-1. Rangers over the Astros 10-2. Brewers over the Mariners 6-5. Red Sox over the Angels 8-6. Saturday, A's over the Tigers 4-0. Guardians over the Twins 3-1. Cards over the Marlins 3-1. Pirates over the O's 5-4-11 on a walk-off single by O'Neal Cruz. Dodgers over the Cubs 4-1. Phillies over the Nationals 5-2. Reds over the Mets 9-6. Rangers over the Astros 7-2. Royals over the White Sox 3-0. Mariners over the Brewers 5-3. Yankees over the Blue Jays 9-8. Braves over the Diamondbacks 9-8. Rays over the Rockies 8-6. Padres over the Giants 4-0. And the Angels over the Red Sox 2-1. Sunday, Yankees over the Blue Jays 8-3. Braves over the Diamondbacks 5-2. Pirates over the Orioles 3-2 on another walk-off. This one was a fielder's choice. Gunnar Henderson error, 2-run score. Bad loss for Baltimore, good win for Pittsburgh, who's 8-2, tied for the best record with the New York Yankees. Nats over the Phillies 3-2. Mets over the Reds 3-1. A's over the Tigers 7-1. Royals over the White Sox 5-3. Guardians Twins postponed makeup date August 9th. Brewers over the Mariners 12-4. Marlins over the Cardinals 10-3. Cubs over the Dodgers 8-1. Rays over the Rockies 3-2. Giants over the Padres 3-2. This was not a walk-off. I was just checking. Red Sox over the Angels 12-2. And the Astros over the Rangers 3-1 on Sunday Night Baseball. All right, all-night games tonight. Yankees-Marlins was supposed to be a day game, but it got moved to 6 o'clock because of the solar eclipse. And I think that's the only game that got moved because of the solar eclipse, which we'll talk about in news and notes. So at 5 o'clock is White Sox-Guardians. Maybe this game got moved too, which makes sense. This game was probably also during the day, and it got moved because of the eclipse, because it's going to be very heavy in Ohio, the solar eclipse. Which, I mean, we're going to get it, like I said, we're going to get into solar eclipse, those open news and notes. So the White Sox, we don't know who's pitching. Guardians, it's Tristan McKenzie. The Guardians minus 225. The White Sox are plus 188. Over under 7.5. Over is minus 105. Under is minus 115. White Sox plus 1.5 is minus 115. Guardians minus 1.5 is minus 104. For this one, we are going to go with the full game under. 6:30 Tigers Pirates. Oh, no, wait. We skipped one. 6 o'clock is Marlins Yankees. Jesus Luzardo and Nestor Cortez. Yanks minus 156. Marlins plus 132. Over under 8. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Marlins plus 1.5 is minus 154. Yankees minus 1.5 is plus 128. Nestor Cortez has not been very good so far this season through 2 starts, but what has been good is the Yankees offense. I like the over. Now 6:30 Tigers Pirates, Reese Olson, Mitch Keller. Pirates minus 124, Tigers plus 106, over under 8.5, overs minus 102, and there's minus 120. Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 200, Pirates minus 1.5 is plus 164. For this one, I'm going to go under 3.5 Tiger runs at plus 1. This is betting on Mitch Keller. Brewers Reds, Aaron Ashby, Graham Ashcraft. Pick 'em, minus 108 each way, over under 9, overs minus 115, unders minus 105. Brewers minus 1.5 is plus 146. Reds plus 1.5 is minus 176. Ashby first start. Ashcraft wasn't bad in his first start. Tough one. But let's go with the Reds and the pick'em at home. 7 o'clock, you have the Mariners and the Blue Jays. Luis Castillo and Jose Barrios. Jays minus 118. Mariners even money, over under 8. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Mariners minus 1.5 is plus 158. Jays plus 1.5 is minus 92. So Mariners favored on the run line. Jays favored on the money line. I'm taking the Mariners at even money outright. I think Castillo pitched better. Mets Braves at 720. Julio Teheran and Charlie Morton. Braves minus 15. Mets plus 180, over under 9.5. Overs minus 122. Unders even money. Mets plus 1.5 is minus 104. Braves minus 1.5 is minus 15. Braves run line, no doubt, in my mind. 7:30 Dodgers Twins. James Paxton, Bailey Ober. Dodgers minus 152. Twins plus 128. Over under 8.5. Minus 10 each way. Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 116. Twins plus 1.5 is minus 138. Over. 7:45 Phillies Cardinals. Spencer Turnbull and Miles Mikolas. Phillies minus 106. Cards minus 110. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 122. Unders even money. Phillies minus 1.5 is plus 152. Cards plus 1.5 is minus 184. Close to a pick'em. ESPN analytics say Cardinals, but I'm going to go against that, and I'm going to say Phillies minus 106. I usually don't go against analytics a lot, but did so here. I just like the matchup for Philly. 8 o'clock Astros Rangers. Framber Valdez, Andrew Heaney. Astros going for the split. Astros minus 142. Rangers plus 120, over under 9.5. Overs minus 102, and there's minus 120. Astros minus 1.5 is plus 116. Rangers plus 1.5 is minus 140. Tough one. But I'm going to go with, believe it or not, I'm gonna be a risky person and lay the run line with the Astros. 8:30 D-backs Rockies. Zach Gallen, Kyle Freeland. D-backs minus 174. Rockies plus 146. Over under 10.5. Overs minus 120. Unders minus 102. D-backs minus 1.5 is minus 15. Rockies plus 1.5 is minus 102. D-backs run line. 9:30 Rays Angels. Zach Eflin, Tyler Anderson. Rays minus 142. Angels plus 120. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 122. Unders even money. Rays minus 1.5 is plus 118. Angels plus 1.5 is minus 142. That's a hard one too. I'm going to go with over 4.5 race runs, minus 118. Cubs, Padres. Javier Assad, Yu Darvish. Padres minus 138, Cubs plus 118, over under 7.5, overs minus 120, unders minus 102. Cubs plus 1.5 is minus 178, Padres minus 1.5 is plus 146. That's a hard one. But I don't want to do this because I like watching the Cubs play. I'm going to go under 3.5 Cubs runs, minus 113. And then 9:45, Nats, Giants. Trevor Williams and Blake Snell. Snell making his Giants debut. Giants minus 235, Nats plus 194, over under 7.5. Overs minus 122, unders even money. Nats plus 1.5 is minus 105. Giants minus 1.5 is minus 114. A full game under and even money, but Giants run line is also enticing. Okay, now move on to soccer. We will talk about everything from the weekend and look ahead to everything today. Let's start with Scottish Premiership. Start somewhere different. Motherwell over Dundee 3-2. St. Johnstone over Hibernian 2-1. Claremont over Ross County 1-0. Livingston Aberdeen 0-0 draw. Hearts over St. Mirren 2-1. And then yesterday, Rangers and Celtic was a 3-3 draw. Premier League. Saturday, Man City over Crystal Palace 4-3. Aston Villa, Brentford 3-3 draw. Everton over Burnley 1-0. Newcastle over Fulham 1-0. Luton over Bournemouth 2-1. West Ham over Wolves 2-1. Arsenal over Brighton 3-0. And then Sunday, Man United, Liverpool 2-2 draw. Sheffield United, Chelsea 2-2 draw. And Tottenham over Nottingham Forest 3-1. Bundesliga Friday. Frankfurt, Bremen 1-1 draw. Saturday, Heidenheim over Bayern 3-2. Leverkusen over Union Berlin 1-0. Cologne over Bochum 2-1. Mainz over Darmstadt 4-0. RB Leipzig over Freiburg 4-1. Stuttgart over Dortmund 1-0. And then Sunday, Hoffenheim over Augsburg 3-1. Gladbach over Wolfsburg 3-1. MLS. Saturday, Columbus DC 1-1 draw. Red Bulls over Cincy 2-1. Miami, Colorado 2-2 draw. New England over Charlotte 1-0. NYCFC Atlanta 1-1 draw. Vancouver over Toronto 4-0. LAFC over the Galaxy 2-1. Austin over San Jose 4-3. Chicago over Houston 2-1. Minnesota Salt Lake 1-1 draw. Philadelphia over Nashville 2-1. St. Louis Dallas 0-0 draw. And Seattle with an impressive 5-0 win over CF Montreal. And then yesterday, KC Portland 3-3 draw. Serie A Friday. Salernitana and Sassuolo 2-2 draw. Saturday, Milan over Lecce 3-0. AS Rome over Lazio 1-0. And Empoli over Torino 3-2. And then yesterday, Frosinone Bologna 0-0 draw. Napoli over Monza 4-2. Cagliari over Atalanta 2-1. Genoa over Verona 2-1. And Juventus over Fiorentina 1-0. Today, 2:45, you have Udinese and Inter Milan. I'm sure Inter Milan is a big favorite. I'm just going to pull that game up right now. Yes, minus 280. Udinese 7-1. The draws plus 370. Under 2.5 goals plus 112. French League 1 Friday. Lille over Marseille 3-1. Saturday, Lens Le Havre 1-1 draw. PSG Clermont Foot 1-1 draw. And then yesterday, Brest over Metz 4-3. Montpellier over Lorient 2-0. Reims Nice 0-0 draw. Toulouse Strasbourg 0-0 draw. Monaco over Rennes 1-0. And Lyon over Nantes 3-1. Liga MX. So Friday, Unam over Mazatlan 4-0. The Cox over Tijuana 3-2. Saturday, Querétaro over Lyon 2-0. Pachuca over Tigres 3-0. Guadalajara over Puebla 3-2. Cruz Azul over Monterrey 2-1. Santos America 1-1 draw. And then yesterday, Toluca over Atlas 4-1. And then today, they'll be resuming an abandoned game between Athletic St. Louis and Juarez. But that is not on the sheet. Dutch Eredivisie, Saturday. Heracles over Sparta 2-1. PSV over AZ Alkmaar 5-1. PEC Zwolle over Excelsior 2-1. FC Twente over Fortuna 2-0. And then yesterday, NEC over Vitesse 3-0. Feyenoord over Ajax 6-0. Go Ahead Eagles and Mary City 1-1 draw. FC Volendam over RKC Waldwijk 3-2. And FC Utrecht over Heerenveen 3-2. And then the EFL Trophy, Peterborough over Wycombe 2-1. ELC, Friday, Plymouth over Rotherham 1-0. And then Saturday, Norwich City over Ipswich 1-0. Blackburn, Southampton 0-0 draw. Hull over Cardiff 3-1. Coventry over Leeds 2-1. Huddersfield over Millwall 1-0. Leicester over Birmingham 2-1. Borough over Swansea 2-0. Sheffield Wednesday over QPR 2-0. Stoke West Brom 2-2 draw. Sunderland Bristol City 0-0 draw. And Watford Preston 0-0 draw. National Women's Soccer League did not play. USL over the weekend. Friday, Tulsa Phoenix 3-3 draw. Saturday, Detroit over North Carolina 1-0. Hartford over Miami FC 3-2. Louisville over Indy 6-5-3. Orange County over Memphis 2-0. Pittsburgh Tampa 0-0 draw. Rhode Island Charleston 0-0 draw. Sacramento over Colorado 2-0. New Mexico over El Paso 3-2. Monterrey over Oakland 1-0. Vegas over San Antonio 1-0. And then yesterday, Birmingham over Loudoun 3-1. And then the last one was the Saudi Pro League. Friday, Al Ittihad and Al Tawoon 0-0 draw. Al Hilal over Al Khalij 4-1. Al Wada and Al Ali 1-1 draw. Al Nasser over Damak 1-0. Saturday, Al Inifaq over Al Raida 1-0. And Al Tai and Al Shabab 0-0 draw. And then yesterday, Abba over Al Fateh 2-1. Al Faya over Al Akdod 3-0. And Al Raid over Al Hazim 2-0. So that's pretty much it for soccer. We had a lot of soccer today. Now we'll move on to golf. We had the Valero Open, the warm up to the Masters, which is this week, amazingly enough. So what I did in a playoff, and your winner with the score 20 under, the playoff score of 4 is Ashke Bahita. And in second with the playoff score of 5 with a total of 20 under, Danny McCarthy. Third with 11 under is Rory McIlroy. Fourth with 10 under is Ryan Henley. Tied for fifth with 9 under, Brendan Todd and Adam Schenk. Tied for seventh with 8 under, Hideki Matsuyama, Tommy Fleetwood, and Ben Martin. Tied for 10th with 6 under, Matt Fitzpatrick, Jordan Spieth, Mac Meisner, and Peter Quest. Tied for 14th with 5 under, Adam Putnam, Adam Scott, Ludvig Aberg, Tyson Alexander, Keith Mitchell, Scott Stevens, Alex Thoren, S.H. Kim, John Kim, Rico Hoey, and the Bjorn Olsen. Tied for 25th with 4 under, Christian Ziedenhout, Justin Lauer, Mark Hubbard, Max Homa, Corey Connors, Brian Harmon, Nate Hardy, and Lucas Glover. 33rd with 3 under, Robbie Shelton, Chester V, Austin Eckler, Grayson Higo, Alexander Zork, and Kevin Chappell. 39th tie with 2 under, Ben Griffin, Alex Badley, Nate Lashley, Stuart Sink, CAU, and Bud Cawley. Tied for 45th with 1 under, Ryan Moore, Victor Norman, Webb Simpson, Kevin Stroman, Davis Thompson, and Victor Perez. 51st at even tie, J.J. Spawn, Tyler Duncan, Martine Laird, Joe Highsmith, C.T. Pond, Tyler Duncan, Lucas Griffin, and Adam Svensson. Notables tied for 58th with 1 over, Aaron Ray, Andrew Novak, Chen Yuan, Matt McNeely, Dylan Wu, Davis Lipsky, Harry Springer, Harry Hall, and Parker Cootie. Tied for 69th with 2 over, Matthias Schmid, Vincent Whaley, Charlie Hoffman. 72nd tie with 3 over, Kevin Kisner, Brent Snecker. 74th with 4 over, Pearson Cootie alone. Tied for 75th with 5 over, Nicholas Hojar, Colin Morikawa, and Trevor Whitney. Tied for 78th with 6 over, Ben Coles and Bu Hostler. 81st with 7 over, Ben Silverman. Among those cut, Evan Van Rooyen, Chad Ramey, Zach Johnson, Ben Taylor, Eric Barnes, Harrison Endicott, Jason Hadley, Callum Tarrant, Roger Sloan, Michael Kim, Matt Kuchar, Robert Brem, Doug Gim, Chandler Phillips, Paul Barjan, Brandon Wu, Joseph Burnett, Lucas Hodges, Camilo Vegas, Grayson Murray, Carson Young, Brett Horschel, Jonathan Vegas, Eric Cole, Troy Merritt, Jimmy Walker, Kevin Doherty, Hayden Buckley, Ricky Fowler, Taylor Pendrith, J.B. Holmes, Harry English, Ryan Fox, Grayson Sieg, Alex Smalley, Ryan Palmer, Seamus Power, Davis Riley, Joel Dahman, Kyung-Gu Lee, Lucas Donald, D.A. Skins, or David Skins, I'm thinking of D.A. Points, Cam Champ, Matthew Neesmith, Sam Ryder, Nicholas Echevarria, and withdrawing Taylor Montgomery, Patrick Rogers, and Trace Crow. Okay, now we'll move on to NASCAR. We'll discuss the results from the races from the weekend from Martinsville. Truck Series first. Your winner, Christian X. Second, Ty Majeski. Third, Chase Purdy. Fourth, Nick Sanchez. Fifth, Tanner Ankrum. 6th, Tanner Gray. 7th, Roger Carruth. 8th, Sammy Smith. 9th, Caden Honeycutt. 10th, Corey Heim. The rest, Mason Massey, Matt Kraft, and Daniel Dye, Ben Rose, Lane Riggs, Tanner Gray, Bailey Curry, Jack Wood, Stuart Friesen, Timmy Hill, Jake Garcia, Grant Effinger, Ty Dillon, Brett Holmes, Spencer Boyd, William Sawalich, Thad Moffitt, Stephen Malazzi, Matt Mills, Cam Waters, Lawless Allen, Justin Carroll, Dean Thompson, and Blake Lothian. Xfinity from Martinsville. Your winner, Eric Almirola. 2nd, Sam Meyer. 3rd, Chandler Smith. 4th, Carson Kvapil. That's a surprise finisher in the top 5. 5th, Justin Algier. 6th, Sheldon Creed. 7th, Sammy Smith. 8th, Cole Custer. 9th, Jesse Love. 10th, Josh Williams. The rest, Shane Van Gisbergen, Parker Kligerman, Taylor Gray, Brennan Poole, Anthony Alfredo, Blaine Perkins, Ryan Sieg, Haley Deegan, Myatt Snyder, Dexter Bean, Matt DiBenedetto, Jeremy Clements, Kyle Sieg, Dawson Cram, Riley Herbst, Ryan Ellis, Brandon Jones, Joey Gase, Garrett Smithley, Logan Bearden, Lawless Honeyman, Jeb Burton, Kyle Weatherman, Austin Hill, Corey Heim, AJ Allmendinger, Parker Retzlaff, and Akinori Agata. And then your Cup Series winner from yesterday, William Byron. 2nd, Kyle Larson. 3rd, Chase Elliott. 4th, Bubba Wallace. 5th, Ryan Blaney. 6th, Joey Logano. 7th, Tyler Riddick. 8th, Alex Bowman. 9th, Ryan Preece. 10th, Chase Briscoe. The rest, Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones, Todd Gilliland, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Carson Hocevar, Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs, Noah Gragson, Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Brad Keselowski, Josh Berry, Kaz Gralla, Josh Williams, Daniel Hemrick, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Justin Haley, Zane Smith, Corey LaJoie, Harrison Burton, Austin Dillon, Chris Bell, John Hunter Nemechek, and David Starr. Next week's Texas. Sunday's the Cup. Xfinity Saturday afternoon. And then Trucks is Friday night. So it should be a fun weekend in Texas coming up. All right. Formula One. They raced in Japan on Saturday night. So the Japanese Grand Prix, your winner, in an impressive bounce-back performance, Max Verstappen. The time was 1:54:23.566. So that is a really good time for the best driver in Formula One. Sergio Perez comes in second, finishing just about 12.5 seconds back. Coming in third, Carlos Sainz Jr. with about 21 seconds back. Fourth was Charles Leclerc with about 26.5 seconds back. Fifth, with about almost 30 seconds back, was Lando Norris. Sixth, finishing 44 seconds back, was Fernando Alonso. Seventh, with almost 46 seconds back, George Russell. Eighth, with about 47.5 seconds back, was Oscar Piastri. Ninth, with 48.5 seconds. Nice bounce back for Lewis Hamilton, getting 2 points out of it. 10th, back one lap, Yuki Tsunoda. All right, and then the rest, Nico Hülkenberg, Lance Stroll, Kevin Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, Logan Sargent, and then did not finish Gaiano Zhou, Daniel Ricciardo, and Alex Albon. All right, next Grand Prix is the Chinese one, which is overnight next Saturday and the Sunday. So the 21st into the 22nd. This is the next Formula One race from Shanghai International Circuit. All right, now we'll do MLB Power Rankings. So I'm going to try to be quick here, but I know this is going to be a while. So that's why I got started early, because I knew this was going to be a while. So the theme through a week and a half, early overreactions. So number 30 is the Miami Marlins. Right now, they just got their first win. They're 1-9, 6 back of the Braves for first. Minus 25 run differential. So coming up, so to start the year, they got swept by the Pirates at home, 4-gamer. Swept by the Angels at home, 3-gamer. And then lost 2 out of 3 at St. Louis. Coming up at Yankees for 3, home Braves for 3. And my overreaction for the Marlins is that they'll finish with the league's worst record. So there's a scenario where they blow up the team, they trade Araj, trade Luzardo, trade Jake Berger, and just completely blow it up and start over like how the White Sox are doing and like how the Orioles did. So that's my overreaction. They'll finish with the league's worst record. Number 29 is the Chicago White Sox. They're last in their division, 1-8 overall. Minus 26 run differential, 6 backs of the Guardians. So to start the season, They got swept at home by the Tigers. Their lone win came at home against Atlanta, and they split that one. And they got swept on the road at the Royals. Coming up this week at the Guardians for 3, and at home Reds for 3. Overreaction time. Yoan Moncada might actually net them a good trade return. So this is a positive White Sox takeaway / overreaction. He's off to a good start, and maybe they can get something better than they thought they were going to get for him. And they could win the trade. Number 28 is the Colorado Rockies, last in the NL West, 2-8 overall, 5 back of the Dodgers, minus 34 run differential. They started the year one game in Arizona. So they lost 3 out of 4 in Arizona. Got swept by the Cubs. And then lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Rays. Coming up, home Diamondbacks at Blue Jays. Each for 3. My overreaction for the Rockies, Chris Bryant's past his prime. There's a lot of veterans that were good 5 years ago, if not more than that just look lost, and he's one of them. Number 27 is the Oakland Athletics, last place in the AL West. And who would have thunk that they'd be out of 30th in the power rankings? Well, that's because there's a couple of other pathetic teams that are off to slow starts, and at least Oakland has 3 wins. So they're 3-7 overall, 3.5 back of Texas for first, minus 20 run differential. So to start the year, they lost 3 out of 4 to the Guardians. They got swept at home by the Red Sox. And then won 2 out of 3 at Detroit, which is a nice series win for them. Coming up at Rangers for 3, home Nats for 3. Home Nats for 3 is interesting. Maybe in a week from now we're talking about them with a surprising record of 5-11. So my overreaction for Oakland is that J.J. Bleday is a long-term keeper. With a good start he's off to. Number 26 is the Washington Nationals. They are in 4th place in the NL East at 3-6, 3.5 back of the Braves. Minus 17 run differential. They started the year, they lost 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati. Lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Pirates. And it lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Phillies. So, coming up for them, 3 at the Giants and 3 at the Athletics. So, West Coast swing for the Nats. I mean, doable for them to potentially split that. But we'll see. So, my takeaway for the Nats early overreaction, CJ Abrams will be an all-star. Next, 25, the New York Mets. This is a juicy overreaction coming up. 3-6 overall, 3.5 back of the Braves, minus 13 run differential. To start the year, they got swept at home by the Brewers. Lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Tigers. Lost 2 out of 3. Or no, I'm sorry, won 2 out of 3 at Cincinnati. So they finally got a series win. Coming up from 4 at Atlanta. That's trouble. And then an opportunity to get right, assuming that the Braves series goes poorly, 3 at home against the Royals. Assuming that the Royals aren't as good as 6-4 indicates. So my overreaction for the New York Mets. Both Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso will be traded at the deadline. That would be something. 24 is the San Francisco Giants. They are 4-6 overall, 3 back of the Dodgers in the West, minus 12 run differential. Starting the year, they split at San Diego. They got swept at LA. And then they won 2 out of 3 at home against San Diego. Coming up, they host the Nats for 3. Then at the Rays for 3. Early overreaction for the Giants. Michael Conforto is the favorite for National League Comeback Player of the Year. 23 is the Toronto Blue Jays. Last place in the AL East, 4-6 record, 4 back of the Yankees for first, -17 run differential. Started the year, they split with the Rays. Then they lost 2 out of 3 in Houston, including the no-hit. And then they lost 2 out of 3 at the Yankees. Coming up, 3 at home against the Mariners, 3 at home against the Rockies. So homestand coming up for the Jays, and it's their home opener too. So maybe they turn things around. But my overreaction for the Jays, they will be trade deadline sellers. That would be juicy. They have a lot of sexy pieces on the market. Them and the Mets could be the sexy trade deadline sellers. Well, the Blue Jays would be unexpected. The Mets, I kind of predicted that before the season. I predicted Edwin Diaz, but Pete Alonso is the juicy one. 22 is the Minnesota Twins. They're in 4th place in the AL Central, 3-4 record, 3 back of the Guardians for first. -5 run differential, so you could argue they're a little better than that. Right, they started the year winning 2 out of 3 at Kansas City. Then they split with the Brewers, and then split with the Guardians and had 1 game rained out. Coming up, hard series. 3 at home Dodgers, and then at the Tigers for 4 is a little easier. So my early overreaction for the Twins is that Alex Kirilloff has a career year in front of him. With the good start he's off to. Number 21 is the Seattle Mariners. 4-6 overall, 3rd place in the AL West, 2.5 back of Texas, -21 run differential, not great. So, to start the season, they split with the Red Sox. They lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Guardians. And then they lost 2 out of 3 on the road at the Brewers. Coming up for them, 3 at the Blue Jays, and then home Cubs for 3, including Apple TV Plus on Friday night. My early overreaction for the Mariners, the pitching is not improved. Luis Castillo's slow start. Bryce Miller leads them in ERA with 3. And some of their other pitchers have not really stepped up. Logan Gilbert, Emerson Hancock, George Kirby, none of them have been good so far. From what was expected. Number 20 is the San Diego Padres. 2nd place in the NL West, 5-7 record, 3 back of the Dodgers. Even run differential, so you could argue they should be higher than 20 based on the run differential. But like I said, preseason stuff kind of factored into these rankings a little bit as well. So Padres, they split with the Giants to open the season. And then they lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Cardinals. And they lost 2 out of 3 against the Giants. And then they split with the Dodgers in Korea, obviously. All right, this week, home Cubs for 3, including Tuesday night on TBS. And then a monster 3-game set at the Dodgers, including Sunday Night Baseball. My overreaction for the Padres, Jake Cronenworth will be an all-star. 19 is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They are technically tied for 2nd in the division with the Giants and the Padres. They're 4-6, 3 back of the Dodgers, plus 16 run differential. So you can make a case they're better than their 4-6 record. To start the season, they won 3 out of 4 against the Rockies, lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Yankees, and then got swept by Atlanta. Coming up, get-right series at the Rockies. And then over the weekend, they host the Cardinals. So, Paul Goldschmidt back in Arizona. So my early overreaction, World Series loser hangover. Sometimes this lasts the whole season and you don't make the playoffs. And sometimes it's just you're good in the second half, like the Phillies last year. They got off to a bad start and then they turned it around. 18, the St. Louis Cardinals, ironically enough. Last place in the NL Central, 5-5 record, 3 back of the Pirates for first, -5 run differential. So they started the season at the Dodgers and lost 3 out of 4. Could have split the series. They should have probably won on Sunday Night Baseball, but they blew that game. And then they won 2 out of 3 at San Diego, and then won 2 out of 3 at home against the Marlins. Coming up, the NLDS rematch from a couple years ago, home Phillies for 3. And then at Diamondbacks for 4. My overreaction for them, Jordan Walker's not what we thought he was. Off to a slow start this year, but you never know. Maybe he turns it around. Number 17 is the Tampa Bay Rays. 4th in the AL East, 5-5, 3 back of the Yankees for first, -9 run differential. They started the year the split with the Blue Jays at home, and then they lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Rangers, and then they won 2 out of 3 at Colorado. Coming up for them, 3 at Anaheim, and then home for 3 against the Giants. My early overreaction for the Rays is that Aaron Savali is an AL Cy Young candidate. Number 16 is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They are 5-4 in the year, 1 back of the Rangers for the division, amazingly enough. -12 run differential, so that suggests that they are not very good. So to start the season, they lost 2 out of 3 at Baltimore. They swept the Marlins in Miami, and then they lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Red Sox. Coming up for them, 3 at home against the Rays, and then 3 at the Red Sox. So they get the Red Sox out of the way, and the Rays, because they're at the Rays after that, not to look ahead to next week, but they get 2 AL East teams out of the way early. So my early overreaction for them is that Reed Detmers will be their lone all-star. Major overreaction alert, right, guys? Because Mike Trout's on that team. But he's off to a slow start. This is why it's an overreaction podcast. Number 15 is the Kansas City Royals. They're 6-4 overall, game and a half back of the Guardians for first, +19 run differential, so maybe they are for real. But they did start the year losing 2 out of 3 at home against the Twins. They won 11-0 in their last game, then they got going a little bit. They won 1 game in Baltimore, but they showed a lot in that series. They were in that every game in that series, and then they swept the White Sox. Coming up for them, test series at home beginning tomorrow night against the Astros, and then they're at the Mets for 3, which might be easy, maybe not. We'll see. My overreaction for them, Bobby Witt Jr. will be an MVP finalist. Yes, that's right, finalist, top 3. Number 14 is the Boston Red Sox. They're 73 overall, 1 back of the Yankees for first, +26 run differential. Run differential suggests they've been the best team in the division so far. But let's face it, no one's had an easier schedule than the Red Sox. They split with the Mariners. That's good. I'll consider that good. But this is what is like, okay. Swept Oakland, won 2 out of 3 at the Angels. Those are 2 of the worst teams in baseball right now. Will end up being 2 of the worst teams in baseball when it's all said and done. But on Tuesday afternoon, they have their home opener against the against the Orioles. So they host the Orioles for 3 and then host the Angels for 3. And with the slow start, you never know. Boston, in a week from now, we could be talking about Boston being 11-5, which would be insane. Number 13 is the Cincinnati Reds. 5-4 overall, 2.5 back with the Pirates in the Central, +7 run differential. How they start the season: 2 out of 3 at home against the Nats. 1-2 out of 3 at Philadelphia, which is impressive. And then lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Mets, which is a letdown. Coming up, home Brewers for 4. That's big for the Central. And then at the White Sox for 3. And my early overreaction, Hunter Green, NL Cy Young candidate. Next up, 12th, the Philadelphia Phillies, 4-5 overall, 2.5 back of the Braves for first, -8 run differential. So Phillies got a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. Start the season, they lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Braves. And that last game, they had to hold on for your life. Then they lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Reds, and then they beat the Nationals 2 out of 3 in D.C. Coming up at the Cards for 3, and then home Pirates for 4. Woo! That's a big series. Big prove-it series for Pittsburgh right there. And this is a major overreaction, but it has to be mentioned. Aaron Nola. Buyer's remorse. Oh, and we forgot the Red Sox overreaction. AL surprise contender. Considering their record and their one back of the Yanks and all that. That could be their surprise contender in the AL. So that was the one I forgot. All right. Number 11 is the Houston Astros. 3-7 overall, 3.5 back of Texas. I know this is a benefit of the doubt ranking like Philadelphia. And they're -4 run differential. So they got swept by the Yankees to start the year. Then they bounced back and won 2 out of 3 at home against the Blue Jays. And then they have one more game in Texas tonight. They're going for the split tonight in Texas, or in Arlington against the Rangers. So they lost 2 out of 3 so far, but they're going for the split tonight. Coming up after the Ranger game tonight, 3 at KC. And then again, they host the Rangers for 3, including Saturday on Fox Sports 1. My early overreaction for the Astros, Josh Hader's a free agent bust. Number 10 is the Detroit Tigers. 6-3 overall, 1 back of the Guardians for first. +1 run differential. They started the year sweeping the White Sox in Chicago. Then they won 2 out of 3 against the Mets. Probably should have swept the Mets. And then a terrible home series loss, losing 2 out of 3 against Oakland. All right, coming up, they have 2 at Pittsburgh. And then home Twins for 4. So, I mean, there's a world the Tigers come out of that 10-5. So we'll see. And my overreaction for the Tigers is that they'll win the AL Central. That's an easy one sitting there, with considering that the Guardians lost Shane Bieber for the year. Speaking of the Guardians, they're 9. They're first in division right now, 7-2 overall, +32 run differential. So, nice start for them, winning 3 out of 4 at Oakland. Then they won 2 out of 3 at Seattle, they did not split with the Twins. They swept the Twins in a 2-game set. I made a mistake earlier, guys. I thought this was a split. They swept the Guardians. The Guardians swept the Twins, with the game yesterday being postponed. So coming up, 3 at home against the White Sox. And then after that, 3 home Yankees. My early overreaction for the Guardians, their pitching depth will make up for the loss of Shane Bieber. Number 8, the Chicago Cubs. 6-3 overall, 1.5 back of the Pirates in the division. +16 run differential. I should have had them higher because of the series against the Dodgers. But the reason why they're this low is they're lower is because of no Justin Steele. So to start the year, they lost 2 out of 3 at Texas. Then they swept the Rockies at home, won 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers at home. Coming up, 3 at the Padres, and then 3 at the Mariners. So West Coast time for the Cubs. My overreaction, Shota Imanaga, a bona fide ace. Number 7 is Milwaukee Brewers. They are in second place in the NL Central, 6-2 record, one back of the Pirates, tied in the loss column, plus 10 run differential. They swept the Mets to start the year. Then they split with the Twins in 2, and then they won 2 out of 3 at home against the Mariners. Coming up, 4 at the Reds, and then 3 at the Orioles. So Corbin Burns against his old team coming up over the weekend. So my early overreaction for Milwaukee, Corbin Burns Ewing theory. In 6th, I have the Pittsburgh Pirates, 8-2 overall, first place in the division, plus 18 run differential. So to start the season, they swept the Marlins in 4. Then they won 2 out of 3 in D.C., won 2 out of 3 at home against the O's, which was impressive. I wasn't really sold on the Pirates, but still I'm not really, but winning that series against the O's was pretty impressive. I know 2 of them had to be walk-offs, but I've gained respect for the Pirates over the weekend. Am I sold on them completely? No, but have I gained respect on them since a week ago? Absolutely. Coming up for them, 2 at home against the Tigers, and then 4 at Philadelphia. So, hard schedule coming up for Pittsburgh after, or literally coming up. So the Tigers are 6-3, so that's not easy. Overreaction for Pittsburgh, they'll win the NL Central. That's an easy one. Number 5 is the Baltimore Orioles. 5-4 overall, 2.5 back of the Yankees for first, plus 15 run differential. So to start the year, they won 2 out of 3 at home against the Angels. Then they won 2 out of 3 at home against the Royals. And one of them was a walk-off. As they came back in the 9th, that James McCann walk-off. I mean, they should have lost that series, but they didn't. They ended up winning that series. Then they lost 2 out of 3 and lost 2 games on walk-offs against Pittsburgh. So very meh 5-4. Coming up beginning tomorrow afternoon, 3 at the Red Sox, and then they host the Brewers for 3. And Corbin Burns will be facing his old team if he pitches. No, he's pitching against the Red Sox. Oh wait, he might pitch Sunday. He's gonna pitch Sunday, so he will pitch against Milwaukee. So that's pretty cool. Overreaction time. This is a big one, and I think this is the one that's most likely to come true if they don't win the division. They'll regret not having Jackson Holliday up to start the season. Losing 2 out of 3 against Pittsburgh, barely scoring any runs. Could have lost that series to the Royals. They lost one game to the Angels. They have the surprising Red Sox coming up. I mean, that could be the thing that could cost them the AL East. Let's face it, a couple years back, Chris Bryant wasn't up for the Cubs. That cost them the division. They would have won that division in, what year was that? They won 100 games that year, if I'm not mistaken, 2015. They would have won the division that year and had Chris Bryant start a year on the team. But this stupid service clock thing. I mean, the Yankees, obviously, last year, Anthony Volpe had him up to start the season, but he wasn't very good last year. And then the Yankees held Gleyber Torres back in 2018, and that arguably cost them the AL East that year, although the Red Sox were awesome that year and won the World Series. But that AL East could have been a lot closer if Gleyber Torres was up earlier in the year. So there's examples of this costing teams division titles and playoff spots. So yeah, we'll see when Holiday comes up. 4th, the Texas Rangers. 6-3 overall, first in the division, plus 23 run differential. They've been easily the best team in that division so far. They won 2 out of 3 against the Cubs to start the year. Then they won 2 out of 3 at Tampa. And then they're going for the series win today against the Astros. They won 2 out of 3 so far. They're going for the series win today. Coming up after the Houston game, 3 at home against Oakland, and then 3 at Houston, including a Fox Sports 1 game. Early overreaction. Cody Bradford makes up for the loss of Jordan Montgomery and the injury losses to Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom. Cody Bradford, good start so far this season. So maybe that makes it up a little bit. Number 3, the Los Angeles Dodgers, 8-4 overall. First place in the division, +9 run differential. So they split with the Padres in Korea. Then they won 3 out of 4 against the Cards at home. Probably should have split that series. Swept the Giants and then lost 2 out of 3 at Wrigley against the Cubs. Coming up, 3 at the Twins. And then home Padres for 3, including Sunday Night Baseball. Early overreaction. Mookie Betts will be the unanimous NL MVP with his historic season coming up. Number 2, the New York Yankees. They are 8-2 overall. First place in the AL East. They've been the most impressive team so far this season, in my opinion. But are they the best team? I don't think so. +10 run differential. They started the season sweeping the Astros in Houston. Then they won 2 out of 3 at Arizona. And then they won 2 out of 3 at home against the Blue Jays. Coming up, home Marlins for 3 and then at Guardians for 3. Early overreaction. With their 8-2 start, is there a Garrett Cole Ewing theory? I mean, Marcus Stroman's been great. Carlos Rodon's been really good. Luis Gil has pitched some good innings for them. Nestor Cortez could turn it around a little bit. I mean, what if, Garrett Cole's not missed that much? Their rotation's been pretty good so far. So, yeah, the Ewing theory question had to be asked. But it's probably an overreaction. That's why this isn't really an overreaction segment. And then number 1's the Atlanta Braves. I mean, you can make a case that the Yankees should be won over them now that Dodgers hurt, but Garrett Cole's also hurt. And the Dodgers have 4 losses. So, I'm still putting the Braves at 1. This was my World Series pick before the year. They were my number 1 team coming into the season. They have a +26 run differential, which is the best in the National League. They're 6-2 overall, first in the division. So they won 2 out of 3 in Philadelphia to start the year. Then they split with the White Sox, and there was a rain-out game, which they'll make up in June. And then they swept the Diamondbacks at home. Coming up, 4 at home against the Mets. That could be a sweeper, 3 out of 4. And then at the Marlins for 3. So, I think there's a chance that we're talking about the Braves on a 10-game winning streak going into that game in Houston next week. In my overreaction for the Braves, with Spencer Strider hurt, the rotation is overrated. I mean, Max Fried's ERA is 87. Chris Sale looked okay. I mean, but can you rely on him to stay healthy? Charlie Morton's old. I mean, without Strider, is this rotation really that good? I don't know. That's why it's an overreaction segment. All right, so there you have it for the power rankings. And now we'll talk about American Idol. Like I said, you knew that was going to be long. That took a half an hour. Idol. Really good episode last night. And tonight, we'll get to in a little bit. All right. So, Tori Kelly was last night's mentor. So, top 24, part 1. Haley Mia went first. She performed She's All I Want to Be by Tate McRae. Jordan Anthony went second and performed his own iteration of Titanium by David Guetta featuring Sia. Jana Elise went next and performed Confident by Demi Lovato. Julia Gagnon went fourth and sang Rumor Has It by Adele. Then Tori Kelly performed her hit High Water. Then Keiko performed How to Live Without You, which was an original. Naya performed The Best by Tina Turner. Blake Prohl performed Anyone by Justin Bieber. Then reigning Idol champion Ian Tongi performed his song Waikiki, which was cute. And then Abby Carter performed Oceans Where Feet May Fail by Hillsong United. Then Contavious performed Something in the Water by Carrie Underwood. KB Richards performed Heaven by Bryan Adams. Will Mosley performed Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. And then last was McKenna Breinholt performing The Story by Brandi Carlile. Alright, so tonight's episode will be Jelly Roll as a mentor, and Vanna White will be making an appearance on Idol tonight. So that's a lot of fun. Ryan Seacrest teased that the other day during the ESPN Plus Hulu event that was held last week. And quickly, performance rankings. I thought the best performer of the night was McKenna. She had such a beautiful performance. I thought Abby was terrific. And then I wrote Jordan down, then Kaiko, Julia, Contavious. So Contavious right there on the top 5 performance. The two that I think that'll get cut next week will be Naya and Haley. Although I wouldn't rule out Blake being cut. KB, I thought was a little too raspy. And I think Jana will be safe as well as Will. All right, news and notes. We're going to rapid fire news and notes. Thank goodness we did Calipari on an emergency show last night because I knew this show would have been an hour and a half long had I did Cal on today's show. So, Kentucky Athletics writer Mitch Barnhart likes Scott Drew. So that is very interesting. WrestleMania was last night. We don't really cover wrestling, but it was a really interesting event. We saw a lot of big names in there. Caitlin Clark had a final farewell to Iowa on her Instagram story. And then Dawn Staley called Caitlin Clark the GOAT as she thanks Clark for lifting up women's college basketball. That was a really, really nice thing for Dawn Staley to say. CJ Stroud worked out with Stephon Diggs, so that's pretty cool. LeBron praised Caitlin Clark. There's a controversial call at the end of UConn, Iowa. Aaliyah Edwards was called for the offensive foul. And that cost UConn a chance to tie or win the game. And a lot of people were questioning that call, obviously. The big awards were announced in college basketball. AP Player of the Year, Zach Edey. AP Coach of the Year, Kelvin Sampson. But the Naismith Coach of the Year was Dan Hurley. And Zach Edey won the Naismith Player of the Year. Roy Williams was rooting against NC State. He was just doing that because he's a Carolina guy. We know that. Matt Painter suggests college athletes were receiving benefits way before NIL era, so that's interesting. Bronny James entering the NCAA transfer portal, as well as the NBA draft, to maintain eligibility. We had a snow game in Pittsburgh. That was pretty cool. Steven Strasburg retired, so congrats to him on a really good career. The A's filed new trademarks as two-team named trademark for Sacramento A's and A's Athletics shortly after move announcement. Bad news for draft prospect Devondre Swift arrested yesterday in Texas on a DWI charge. Malik Neighbors had some visits, and he is visiting the Titans, Jets, and Bears. The Patriots are hosting J.J. McCarthy. Jaden Daniels is going to visit the Commanders. Teams that could trade down include the Jets and the Bears. Well, the Bears at 9. The Falcons are hosting a Michael Penix workout, so that's interesting. The Giants re-signed Isaiah Simmons. Jonathan Loaizaga has a torn UCL. He'll have season-ending surgery, but it won't be Tommy John. So we had an earthquake on Friday morning around 10:25 a.m. in a town called Tewksbury, New Jersey. That came out of nowhere. And it shook Yankee Stadium. And Gleyber Torres was just completely unfazed. And Aaron Judge refused to say where he was when he felt the earthquake. I think we know what he was doing when he said that. Garrett Cole to start throwing this week. So that is wonderful news for the Yankees. So the Basketball Hall of Fame class was announced. Headliners include Vince Carter and Chauncey Billups. A lot of big names were at the Natty yesterday for the women's. Tyler Herro came back from Miami against the Rockets the other night, as did Knicks forward OG Anunoby against the Bulls. And then Leo Messi came back for Miami on Saturday against the Colorado Rapids. The 76ers are targeting Paul George as they would leap at the chance to sign Paul George if he hits free agency this summer. I think the Knicks should be all over that one too. Dodgers making it up to the fan who had Shohei Ohtani's home run ball, as they invited the fan for an on-field experience as the Dodgers are reviewing ball retrieval process. Doc Rivers called out the Bucks' 3-game losing streak inexcusable. Now it's 4 straight. We talked about it earlier. Shane Bieber's season's over as he's undergoing Tommy John. Trevor Surrey exits the game after injuring his shoulder. Spencer Strider to undergo MRI. And it reviewed UCL damage in right elbow. Not ideal for the Braves at all. So he is going to be out for a while, if not the whole season. That may mean the dreaded 2-name word surgery that so far Garrett Cole has dodged. Iowa-UConn had 14.2 million viewers, as it was the highest audience for any basketball game ever on ESPN, also breaking the Iowa-LSU record. So that's pretty cool. And I'm sure that Iowa-South Carolina broke it too. NHL referee Steve Kazari stretched off the ice following collision with Hayden Fleury of the Lightning, as he was taken to the hospital for precautionary reasons and is expected to make full recovery, as he was conscious and alert. So that is good news. Some football stuff. Eric Armstead said the Texans wanted him, as he said Houston tried to trade for him before the 49ers cut him. Derek Brown gets a 4-year extension, $96 million, $63.2 million guaranteed, so the Panthers lock up one of their young players. The Dolphins are pushing for an Odell Beckham deal, so that's pretty interesting. The Chargers are eyeing Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Apparently, Josh Allen snapped at Stephon Diggs, as tensions rose between those two after Week 1's loss against the Jets. Wow. The Patriots might not draft a quarterback at 3, as they're comfortable starting Jacoby Brissett amid Drake May buzz. I think that is absolutely a lie. And speaking of the Patriots, 4 years, $66 for Kyle Duggar, $32.5 million guaranteed, so they lock up one of their good players. And Dalvin Cook says, I'm still that guy. So we'll see about that. And then the solar eclipse is the last thing we're going to talk about. As we're going to talk about the times really quick. So it is supposed to hit Dallas 2:40 Eastern, 1:40 Central. Idabel, Oklahoma, 1:45 Central, 2:45 Eastern. Little Rock, Arkansas, 2:51 Eastern, 1:51 Central. Poplar Bluff, Missouri, 1:56 Central, 2:56 Eastern. Paducah, Kentucky, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Carbondale, Illinois, 1:59 Eastern, 2 1:59 Central, 2:59 Eastern. Evansville, Indiana, 2 o'clock, or 2:02 Central, 3:02 Eastern. Now we're in Eastern time. Cleveland, 3:13 Eastern. Erie, Pennsylvania, 3:16 Eastern. Buffalo, 3:18 Eastern. Burlington, Vermont, 3:26 Eastern. Lancaster, New Hampshire, 3:27 Eastern. Caribou, Maine, 3:32 Eastern. So the path of totality is supposed to go northeast, begins in Texas, and will end in Maine, and we'll see it here in the northeast as well. So a once-in-a-lifetime event, arguably, for those in this area and those cities that it's supposed to go through. All right, best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. Like I said, it was a really long show today. Best bet is going to be really easy. I'm taking Purdue plus the 6.5. I think that Edey will keep them in the game. I think Edey's the best guy in the country. And I think this team has a chip on its shoulder. I am going to lay a 20th of a unit on the pick. So Purdue plus 6.5 against UConn in the national title game for my best bet. Oh, and the money line's up to plus 240. So Zach Edey and money line are the same now. And I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit on plus 240 outright for Purdue. So that's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything. Look at everything tomorrow. The return of the portfolio. A big NBA slate tomorrow as well. And then if we get to it, we'll do Idol as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.